Welcome back, Totally Unbiased. And on this episode of Totally Unbiased, this is a specific deep dive. And on this deep dive, I'm going to tell all of you guys, for once and for all, why the Panthers will go to the playoffs this year. All right? So, if you saw the caption, you know Cam Newton's a huge reason why. But let me talk about the Panthers real quick. Let's talk what's going on with them so far. So, first off, they have some of the best offensive weapons in the entire NFL. Running back Christian McCaffrey, he seems to be back and healthy now, which is really important. But it's important to remember that McCaffrey is injury prone at this point. I think we have to say that. It's a lot of soft tissue injuries. And the role of Chuba Hubbard is going to be huge when it's coming down the stretch. Now, again, the Panthers, they have so many weapons, but let's start obviously with McCaffrey. He's great. DJ Moore, I mean, he's been unbelievable this year. And just looking at some of these weapons, I mean, Robbie Anderson's there too. McCaffrey, I know he's missed some time, but there's problems with this team. And it's this guy right here. This stat line seemed like it was the peak of Sam Darnold's career as a Panther so far. I mean, he played lights out for 3 weeks, and he's actually looked like a bottom 3 quarterback in the NFL every week since then, which is really tough for the Carolina Panthers. Now, they have a great defense. There's no denying that. But with Sam Darnold being, playing as poorly as he is, one has to ask, do they even have a chance to go to the playoffs anymore? Well, now that they've signed Cam Newton, I say yes, because you don't have to have this guy on the field anymore. He is an absolute disaster. He's a disaster. And there is no debate in it. I mean, if you look at Cam Newton this season, if you look at Sam Darnold this season, he has just been, you know what I mean? Sam Darnold's just been not good. And this year, realistically, it's been one of his typical Sam Darnold years. Bonehead interceptions. A lot of things that Panther fans are so sick of. They're sick of it. The Jet fan had to deal with it last year, and now the Panther fan's having to deal with it. I mean, if you look at Sam Darnold realistically on the season, he has played in 9 games, and he's started all the 9 games that he's played. He has 1,986 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. I mean, he has a negative touchdown to interception ratio again, which is the second time it's happened in his career. He does have 5 rushing touchdowns, but let's just be honest, those are kind of opportunistic. You get a QB sneak. Those don't matter when you're not a rushing quarterback. It's not like Lamar Jackson is having 7 picks and 11 interceptions, but he's running for 600 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns. It's completely different. Plus, Lamar is much better through the end than Sam Darnold. Don't think I'm comparing the two. Now, it's really important to remember that Sam Darnold was the replacement for Teddy Bridgewater, who was the replacement for Cam Newton. And how can you replace this guy? Cam Newton loves Carolina. He loves football. He loves to be a Panther. How can you not root for this guy now? Especially with the fact that he's back. I mean, we all saw the great clip, him taking off his helmet after scoring that touchdown. I'm back! I love it. And I think the Panthers have a real shot of doing something special with this guy back. I mean, first off, we need to understand something about Cam Newton. Outside of Cam Newton's MVP season, he has not been the greatest quarterback in the NFL. He hasn't. Let's just call it like it is. Cam Newton has had some pedestrian years. And I think a lot of it, actually, my opinion, all of it comes from health. I think, he's put his body at risk a lot during his career. And the fact of the matter is, I think in the last couple years, it's shown. And, he's had some shoulder surgeries. And at the end of the last few years, it seems like his arm has kind of deteriorated. It's looked bad. And we don't like it. We don't want that for Cam Newton. We love, if you're a football fan, you love Cam Newton. There's not a thing that this guy does that would anger you unless you hate fun. Because I'll tell you what, this guy, I mean, you look at his yearly statistics, and I know 2020 was a bit of a weird year. He had a great rushing year in 2020. But let me give you some of his statistics. Cam Newton completed 242 passes in the year 2020 with the New England Patriots for a total of 2,600 yards. He had 8 touchdowns and 10 picks, so that's not a great interception to touchdown ratio. But, like I said, it's different when it comes from Darnold and like a Lamar Jackson or even a Cam Newton. Now, this is Cam Newton, not the same Cam Newton he was when he was younger, but he carried the ball 130 times for 592 yards, so almost 600 yards, and 12 scores, 12 touchdowns. So you see where Cam Newton's added value comes in. Now, Sam Darnold's thrown 11 interceptions in 9 games. That's not okay. Cam Newton threw 10 interceptions in, I think, 14 games. So you got to understand where these things are coming from when people are saying, oh, well, Cam actually is better through the air than Darnold, because I believe he is. Now, obviously, a lot of us are going to look back. I mean, he was injured in 2019. He hurt his foot and missed the rest of the season. But let's look back to the best of Cam Newton. So the best of Cam Newton was in 2015, where he won the MVP, and he went all the way to the Super Bowl, unfortunately losing to the Denver Broncos. But let's talk about his regular season statistics. He completed 296 passes for 3,837 yards, 35 touchdowns. 35 touchdowns. Cam Newton threw 35 touchdowns. I'm going to say it one more time. 35 touchdowns for Cam Newton. That's right. A guy who's like, oh, he's a rushing guy. But don't worry, he got his on the ground too. 130 carries, 636 yards, 10 scores. So Cam Newton is a really, really good football player when he's healthy. And I know the 15-1 Panthers were a long time ago. They were. Now let's look at a year where, in my opinion, this was a better balanced, Cam Newton. And I would say the best balanced Cam Newton we've seen since his MVP year, because, of course, no one's really going to repeat that. I would say 2017. Cam Newton completed 290 passes for 3,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. So there were a lot of interceptions, no doubt about it. But, he had his team with a winning record. They went to the playoffs, and I know they lost, but they went to the playoffs. He was beat up that year. He was sacked 35 times, but he also carried the ball 140 for 754 yards and 6 touchdowns. And I think Cam Newton at his worst is better than Sam Darnold at his best. That's just my opinion. And you know what? The numbers are starting to back it up. I mean, Cam Newton didn't play a lot last week versus the Cardinals, obviously, because he was just signed. As he said, he was eating a bowl of cereal on the couch last week, and he's really excited to be back. I think he's electric. He can energize this team. And I think even in limited action last week, you saw what his presence did for the Panthers. I mean, their defense is a great defense. They are. They're a great defense. I mean, they got guys like J.C. Horn's going to come back. They got Stephon Gilmore. I mean, think about it. Just think about it. A.J. Boye, Stephon Gilmore. J.C. Horn will come back. Brian Burns. Shaq Thompson. They have so many playmakers. And the fact of the matter is, the Carolina Panthers are in a great spot right now with Cam Newton being back as their quarterback. Now, let's just remember one thing, because this is going to be a shorter deep dive. I'm going to tell you guys the Panthers' remaining schedule, just so we can talk about it a little bit, and I'll kind of give you my thoughts on the rest of the season. So Carolina, for the rest of the year, they play Washington football team in Carolina this year. I expect them to win this game. I think, again, Cam Newton coming back, expect them to win this game. If they do, then they go to, they're going to play Miami anyway. They're going to Miami to play the Dolphins, whose defense has been really good. And remember, Cam Newton at the end of years has faded because his arm has been bothering him. But let's not forget, there were already, I believe, 10 Panther games already this year. There were 9 Panthers games, 10 Panthers games already this year. And he didn't play in any of them. His arm is fresh. And I think the fresh arm lifts him over the Dolphins, even though their defense has been really good. And it also lifts them over the Falcons in the next week at home on December 12th. Now, where we're getting difficult is this end of the schedule. They have a brutal last 4 weeks, right? So let's just say they go 3-0 at that point, right? So the Panthers currently, the Panthers' current record, they're third in the AFC South right now. And they are, I'm trying to make sure I don't get this wrong. I don't want to get this wrong for you guys. The Panthers' record right now is 5-5. So if they win those 3 games, they'll be sitting at 8-5. Now, here's where it gets really, really difficult. The next teams they play in the last 4 games are as follows. They have to play Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Really tough game. They got to play the Bucs in Carolina. It's another tough game. The Saints in New Orleans. And the Bucs again in Tampa. So these last 4 games are brutal. They're brutal. If they can go 2-2, they will make the playoffs. Period. 8-7 will make them a playoff team. I don't think there's any debate about it. The Carolina Panthers have a chance to make this a really special season. And they started off hot, and they really, scuffed through the middle of the season. They were not good. But the fact of the matter is that this man right here, Cameron Newton, is the lightning rod that the Panthers need. Cam Newton will bring the Panthers to the playoffs in 2021. And Cam Newton will be the guy that shocks the world and even wins a playoff game this year. I think the Panthers are built for the long run. And the fact that Cam Newton's not been playing the first few weeks and he's healthy can only bring them further and further. Listen, this has been totally unbiased. Thank you guys for watching. My prediction, Cam brings the Panthers to the playoffs, as you see in the bio. This has been another episode of Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.